You're all
right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the second part in our three-part Kiva mini-series, which is here as a resource to help you learn more about the Kiva product and how it can be used as a tool to guide you in your business. So today we're going to be on the second part covering cash flow strategy. I'm just giving you an overview here of Kiva. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's see here. All right, so on today's agenda, what we'll be covering, first we'll introduce you to the trustees that we have here on the call. Said we'll give you an overview of what Kiva is, what strategies you can use to navigate your cash flow amid COVID-19, how you can use Kiva as a recovery tool in that process, how we as trustees here on the call can help you through that, and then lastly we'll be covering some Q&A there. And just to start, to introduce myself, I am Danielle Luna with the International Rescue Committee. I oversee our small business program where we have an in-house lending department providing financial coaching, business loans, and assistance that may be needed to either start or expand your business. And we're also a Kiva trustee, and we work primarily along the Camelback corridor, 7th Avenue to 27th Avenue in Camelback, within that vicinity. And you'll hear that each of us kind of cover specific areas, but you know, there are opportunities to expand beyond that as well. And then I'll pass it over to Laura. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Laura Suarez. I am the Executive Director for RAIL. That stands for Retail Arts Innovation and Livability. We are a community development corporation that started in Mesa and has now expanded into Tempe. And we are also Kiva trustees, and we work alongside the light rail corridors in downtown Mesa, in the Asian district, and also in Apache Boulevard in Tempe. And so thank you, everybody. And I'll pass it over to Ali.
Thank you, and hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Ali. I am the chair of the Economic Empowerment Committee of Phx Local Organizing Committee, which is a grassroots organizing group. Our work is primarily centered around, or at least in this committee, is primarily centered around economic development, community wealth building, small business support. Our work is largely focused in the East Lake Park sector of downtown Phoenix and also the South Phoenix. And it's excited to be on with you all today. And I'll pass it to Michael.
Good morning. I'm Michael. I work at Trellis. I am the coordinator for the McDowell Road Revitalization Project, and that covers 7th Street to the Interstate 51 or 20th Street. McDowell Road was the first shopping district outside of downtown Phoenix, so historic Miracle Mile. My job is to support the businesses and to help them scale using marketing, business development, and many other strategies and partners. Of course, I'm also one of the representatives as a trustee for Trellis. So looking forward to talking more about what a trustee is later.
All right, thank you all for your introductions, and thank you everyone for joining on the call. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, if you just want to type that in the chat bar, if you want to introduce yourself, we certainly encourage you to do that. We want this to be an interactive space. And so to start here, we will begin with an overview of the LISC program.
Yep, so Kiva is an online micro lending program that has locations internationally. They began working largely in the global South and parts of Asia and Africa, and have recently expanded to provide zero interest loans in the United States as well. These are character-based loans. It's really designed to assist and support those businesses who aren't able to access funds through more of the traditional means. It's usually a maximum loan of up to $10,000. Due to this COVID-19 crisis, they've recently increased their loan limit up to $15,000 and extended their grace period from 3 months to 6 months to provide greater flexibility. With repayment terms of up to 3 years. I know we have people on the phone, so I'll provide some information that you won't be able to see, and then hopefully we'll get the link out to you so that you can see the presentation as well. But there's repayment terms of up to 3 years. Once you complete the process, the funds, it's a very easy process, a simple, straightforward process. The funds are dispersed through PayPal. They're also repaid through PayPal. And the trustees, those of us that are on the line here conducting this webinar, we endorse, just meaning we would be the ones to help you with the process and then move you through the process with Kiva. And then as a result of going through that process, the funds are matched by LISC, which is a national community development financial institution. So we'll talk a little bit about Kiva. Some of this we went through last week, so I'm going to kind of just touch on it, and then we'll get into the cash flow strategy. So that is the Kiva LISC program, and then how the match works is, as I mentioned, by going through a trustee, the amount that you raise is matched by LISC. So basically the way that works is if you need to raise 10,000, for example. The crowdfunding aspect of this would be to raise 5,000 from your network, from the donors, from the community, from Kiva's network, so on and so forth. And then once the 5,000 is raised, LISC, which stands for Local Initiative Support Corporation, would match with another 5,000, and that's how you receive the total $10,000 zero interest loan. The full amount is still a loan and would need to be repaid, but only 5,000, only half of it needs to be raised through the crowdfunding process. So hopefully that is straightforward. If not, feel free, as we mentioned, feel free to ask questions about that. Once we get to the Q&A portion, we'll be happy to answer those. So I'm going to pass it to Danielle, and we'll go over the cash flow strategy.
All right, thank you. So as a part of the Kiva campaign, there are two essential components that can really strengthen your campaign for the community. And one of those are your ask. There's a financial ask, right? Saying what your needs are and what you'll be using the funds for, and the sharing of your story, which is what we will cover in part 3 of the mini-series. So today we're going to focus on a few steps that will help you with assessing your need and kind of navigating this strange COVID-19 time that we're going through. So what we'll be covering today are the steps that you can use to strategize in this process. First being, assessing the damage that may have resulted from COVID-19, reviewing your business plan to determine how you may need to pivot, adjusting your budget as needed for current time, developing a timeline for rebuilding your business as you begin to open, and then analyzing the funding options that are available to you to help navigate this process.
And so we're going to be giving a basic overview of the things that you should be taking into consideration when you're thinking about, hey, I want a loan and I really not sure what how much to ask for. And so if you have any questions, of course, we have our Q&A, but also remember, we're going to be sharing our information at the end of the presentation, so you can give us a call as well, and we can sit down and actually assess these things with you if you're unsure or you don't feel comfortable. Sometimes I'm scared of numbers. So one of the things that we really ask is that you determine how your business has been affected. And so looking at how it was doing prior and how it's doing right now. That way it gives you a little bit of a sense of where you stand. Update your current profit and loss statements. So income minus cost equals the profit. And so think about if you already used an Excel sheet, or if you're using a program online like QuickBooks, looking at how much is coming in, how much is going out, and so that'll help you see it in visually where you stand, and also compare information to previous years. So considering changes such as staffing. And so if you have employees that you manage, it can help you understand, where you were last year as to where you and where you are now, and do you need to reduce it, or do you need to just be a one-man show right now? I mean, that's just an example, and if you don't have to be that, but so these are just some things that you can consider. I will be sharing, I believe in the next slide or the following slide, I'll be sharing also a worksheet for you if you've not ever done a profit and loss statement and you want a simple way to start. It's an Excel sheet that you can just open if you have a Google Drive or Excel on your computer, open it up and you can start working on it. And I love the fact that it's very simple to use.
Yeah, I think we'll be sharing that link out in the chat for you, so that you can access it later, and we can guide you through that process on a one-on-one basis, as Lana had mentioned. All right, next up that we'll be covering is reviewing your business plan. So, taking a look at how your business plan may need to be adjusted, for the new normal. So is your business going to need to adjust? Retail stores started opening this week, but with provisions such as pickup services, curbside, how will that look for your business if you need to adapt? Will you need to provide delivery options? Will you need to adapt for online sales? Analyze industries, your industry, and observe trends, learn from others with similar businesses. What are other businesses in the community doing? Are there some steps that you could mirror, that you could also implement in your business? And are there specific strengths that you have or improvements that you could make, which will really help you stand out against the competition during this time? Is there a specific gap in the market you can fill? So business plans can be as simple as jotting down your plan and your goals on paper, or it could be, more detailed. That is up to you. And again, we are here as resources to have that conversation, but you definitely want to go through and maybe make some adjustments based on the current climate and shifts that are taking place.
And this is how to adjust your budget as needed for your recovery. So think about accounting for new expenses such as face masks and sanitation supplies. We know that things may not return to our normal in maybe more than a year, and we don't know. And so we have to start thinking about what new things we have to account for in our finances. Or it kind of scares me that we, may have to just adjust a little bit more to it, and it's just better to start thinking about it now. Consider marketing costs needed to attract customers. I think right now more than ever, we have had a need to reach our clients virtually, and so we can start thinking about ways on how to increase maybe the platform where our customers are at. So if that's Facebook, or if that's Instagram, if that's I don't know any other, Etsy, Shopify, those are certain platforms that, you need to start thinking about. And so creating a strategy for how you're going to reach it and how much that's going to cost. Eliminate unnecessary expenses where possible. Maybe right now, you may not need, if I can think of the top of my head, I can't think of an actual example, but just start looking, when you're creating your profit and loss statement and you're actually looking at everything you pay for, is there something there that you can remove just right now temporarily until things start coming back and you start, creating or generating that income to kind of get you back on your feet. And then also we say this a lot, contact your creditors to negotiate temporary reduction of payments. Because of what we're going through, a lot of creditors are very understanding of our situation, and they're either helping us reduce maybe that payment, or when it comes to maybe landlords, putting, taking your rent payment and maybe attaching it at the very end of your lease. And so it's helping you and relieving you to have some cash flow, to help you pay other bills in the meantime. So those are just a few things that you should consider. I've also linked the hyperlink. It's not a hyperlink, sorry, it's just a link that you copy paste for your profit and loss statement. So you can go ahead and open that into a web browser and it'll pop it right up, and you can save it onto your desktop or your computer.
All right, and then looking forward, developing a timeline to rebuild. We recommend that you go through and you create a list of all of the priorities for your business. As we were talking about previously, looking at some of those costs associated with your business, looking at some of those adjustments that you're going to need to make. Which one is priority as you begin to rebuild your business? And so creating a list of that and outlining it in order of importance would be a good place to start. Creating a timeline to rebuild and determine any costs associated with that process. So for example, are you going to need to restock inventory? We talked about masks, maybe sanitation supplies, but some businesses were affected or maybe not ordering inventory during this time, given the uncertainty. So what are the costs associated with you doing that? Is there some new inventory that you can purchase, or some new services that you can implement that are, providing much needed support or services during this time? So thinking of that, are you going to need to hire additional staff? Were you forced to let staff go during this process? And what does that process look like in terms of hiring them back on? Will it just be you initially running the business? Will you have to have a reduced salary initially? Taking those into consideration, and again, that profit and loss statement and just kind of forecasting will allow you to budget accordingly. Be sure to track your progress by checking in weekly on what is effective and what needs to be adjusted. So you might find, things are changing very rapidly, and you might find that you need to adjust to remain competitive or save on costs. Whatever the case may be, it's good as you're initially starting to stabilize your business that you're doing regular check-ins to make sure that you're on track to reach your progress goals, whatever those.
And so here is where we talk about analyzing your funding options. And so if you've been thinking about what best serves me and my business, this is where you start looking at the options that exist. And so we see, actually, let me read the statement and then I'll go into what I was going to say. So review funding options available to you and carefully analyze the pros and cons of each to determine which will fit best for your specific needs of your business. Consider the short and long-term recovery. And so we know that there are two programs that are out there right now from the SBA. And so we have the Paycheck Protection Program, and then we also have the emergency. I don't know how to. I can't remember. Is it the Economic Impact? Help me.
Impact Disaster Loan.
Thank you.
Idle.
I wanted
to say IDLE, but I really wanted it not to use the acronym. And so there's been many workshops, many webinars explaining the process, the difference between the two. And so if this is a good fit for you and you haven't already applied, we strongly suggest that you either contact us or contact an organization that's helping with the PPP program and the IDLE program and get you to apply. And if this isn't a good fit, then at least you've seen what it requires, and if maybe that's not an option, then you can go into another one. And I'll give you another example. Maybe there's the traditional loans that are given through either traditional banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Maybe you have a relationship with your credit unions, so something like Desert Financials, that can help you determine whether going that route is a good option for you. A lot of the times when you're either, you've been in business 3 years or less, you just started, sometimes these loans are not an option. And so, and if you're not sure, where to go, then you feel like you don't have any answers, or you're not sure where to go for the money. Sometimes the interest rates are high and you're not sure if you're going to be able to do that. And maybe you don't have the credit right now established to get a loan, maybe through that platform. And then we have a product like Kiva. And so Kiva doesn't require a credit check. It's at 0% interest rate. You don't have to put any collateral down. And so let's say that you've been in business for a year, and then you're in need of money. You're able to fund or crowdfund half of that money, and then you have backings like organizations with LISC that help you match those dollars. And so there is a crowdfunding component to it, but after you've reached out to your friends and family, they've helped you, fundraise half of that money. Then we go out to the community and we as your Kiva trustees vouch for you, and we create this campaign for you, and then you get half of that money, and then you have LISC that matches the other half. And so now you get to pay it back in 6 months. You are paying back only what you were raising. You don't have to give back any interest on it. And then the cool thing about it is once you're done paying it, you're able to do it again. And so you can tap into these funds multiple times. And so I think that's one of the biggest benefits of programs like Kiva, is that you can use it as many times as you want, and it's not going to affect you. It's going to help you have money, especially right now.
Yeah, what we really want is for you all to, have the assistance that you need to navigate all of the resources available, and that's what we are here to assist with in that process. Some of the feedback that we've heard is that SBA loans are difficult to navigate, and there's a limit to those funds. So kind of keeping in mind that those could run out, and those do come with follow-up requirements as well. So they're more restricted in terms of what you can use them for. So keeping that in mind, and then as Laura was mentioning with Kiva, you don't have those restrictions, and you can continue to borrow. There's not a cap. The funds aren't going to run out. You'll continuously be able to get that support for your business moving forward as you grow, and so that's a great benefit of this product. We wanted to share one of the campaigns that was recently launched and successfully fundraised in just 48 hours, actually. So this is one of the businesses that we work with on our corridors, and M&M Barber, he was forced to close due to COVID, and was having trouble based on the length of time that he had been open, accessing other capital, other loan resources. And so he looked to the Kiva campaign, went through, determined what was most important in terms of expenses, and in his case, decided that the money would be most effectively spent if it was allocated to rent, utilities, since he was closed and didn't have any income coming in, and then marketing. As he begins to reopen, there's going to be costs associated with bringing customers back to your business. And so that was what he designated his campaign for. You don't have to have a COVID-focused campaign, but we did see in this particular one, because it funded so quickly, that individuals were eager to support. And what this did is brought in a lot of support and awareness of his business. So now, as he begins to reopen, those people who invested in this business, and we always call it an investment, it's not a donation, because everyone who contributes to your campaign receives their money back. So you're not asking for donations, you're asking for support of your business. and people get invested at that point, and the potential is there for them to become lifelong customers. So this could be a great tool for marketing your business as well, since your business is shared out on all of our social media networks here locally, but also on a global level as well. It's really cool.
Great. And we mentioned trustees several times. So we'll talk about what a trustee is real quick and what our responsibilities are in the next few slides. For those of you on the phone, so trustees, we help identify businesses that are looking and would benefit from a loan. We help you evaluate your understanding and your needs. We go through, we're like, okay, this business definitely could use the Kiva loan to either for the COVID-19 response or even to scale their business. So as a trustee, we don't have financial or legal liability, but we do vouch for the character of the business and help you get that loan through Kiva. And throughout the entire process, from the beginning to the end of your Kiva loan, we are here for you with support. So with the next slide, what are trustees? So we're your partners, and we're there for you step by step. We refer to businesses who may lack fair access to capital. Laura had said, perhaps you haven't been in business long enough, and a credit union or bank is just not ready to lend to you. Doing these Kiva loans can eventually get you to that step to where you can do regular financing as well as Kiva loans. So we're also here to help spread the word and to be your financial advisors, to guide you with business practices and credit, and to help you get more capital in the future. So how does the process work? Well, what we do is LISC, of course, is our partner, and they are providing the matching funds. They've approved our 4 nonprofits as being trustees. How does the process work? So how do you actually apply for a Kiva loan? Well, we send you a link. It's as easy as that. You click on it. You create your campaign. You tell your story. You have your page finalized, and we'll talk about that in our next and final webinar. So don't worry about thinking, how am I going to tell my story? We'll help guide you. That's what we do as trustees. So we endorse your loan, and it goes to Kiva. After you've clicked on your link, it takes about 1 or 2 weeks for the Kiva to review the loan. That's when that private fundraising period starts. It's 15 days. Once you've hit that, like Laura and Danielle said with MM Barber, they went private, and then within 2 days, they hit their goal. But don't worry, you have 30 days to hit that goal. You do have to meet your goal, so it's an all or nothing campaign. And once you've got your funds, there's a 6-month grace period, and you can have 6 to 36 months to pay back that loan. So that's what trustees are, and that's the loan process. Any questions?
So now, if you have a question, oh, here we go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is Abraham. I have a question on that last slide. What's the difference between a private or public funding?
Great. So the private fundraising period is a requirement that Kiva asks for you to be able to have 20 people provide a $25, a minimum $25 loan. That's just a way for them to see that this campaign is feasible, that you have the beginning support, And once that's done, that's when it goes public. So that's when Kiva shares it. That's when everybody can share that that actual campaign.
Okay. So the sorry to interrupt, but so the private is internally, like myself and my peers, $25 for the 20 people. Once I have that secured, then we can go what you call public with Kiva.
Danielle,
Is that what I understand?
Okay, yeah, for sure. So,
Okay.
Link, you know, so it's really showing that you have a network of support behind you that can validate.
Okay.
And just again to reiterate that everyone who contributes that $25 will receive that money back in the repayment period.
Got it. Okay. Now, as far as what happens if the goal is not met, what if you fall, you know, instead of having the 20 people, you only have 15, 16, 17 people? Is there an extension for those days to try to get the other of the money? What's the process in that, or is it just kind of on a case-by-case basis?
So with that, there is a requirement for the 15 days. And what we do as trustees is sit with you and help you identify who those individuals can be before you go into private fundraising stage. So you already have a plan laid out and are able to identify, okay, do I have enough people? If not, you know, can we start thinking more creatively of how we can access those people? But we definitely encourage you to kind of list out who you think might be someone who would support this. And also want to encourage you to think beyond who might come to your mind most immediately, you know, and maybe be able to lend some guidance there on creative ways we've seen people fundraising.
Okay, thank you.
And I will say, you know, once it goes public, again, it's there on a global site, and there's a huge amount of supporters that are active on the site. So as long as we can get through that initial, you know, fundraising period with you, then you will see that. I think we said there's a very minimal amount who don't reach their goal. 5% of all loans that go live on the platform. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Great question.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, I was, so do you have to have 20 people, or can you have 5 people raise the amount of the 20 people? But do you have to have a certain amount of people? Because I just did a fundraising thing, and I don't want to have to go back and do it again and feeling like I'm begging again.
No, I hear you. So you do have to have a certain number of people, and it varies depending on how much you're asking for. It might be a little lower, you know, but this loan can go up to $15,000. So the higher the loan amount, the more individuals are needed to vouch for you to ensure that, you know, hopefully you'll be able to reach that goal. So they do want to see the amount of people that are assigned for the loan amount that you've requested. I think even when it's lower, it's like 15 maybe. But I will say again, just, you know, the way this differs is that you can, you know, provide some peace of mind in knowing that they'll get their funding back. So, and even if you might have reached out to a particular pool of donors initially for a fundraising campaign, it's different in that it's a contribution, it's a loan. In addition to that, you may find that when working with your trustee, you have additional sources of support within a network that you can reach out to.
Okay. I just lost in my mind the second question, but I'll use it. I'll try to remember. Well, gosh. Oh, okay. I can't remember what I was about to answer. Ask. I'm sorry.
No worries. If it comes back to you, feel free to jump in anytime.
Yeah, I'm just concerned because I just reached out for fundraising, and I just feel like I don't want to have to do it again real soon like this.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And again, you know, if this is specific, so with a campaign, you clearly outline what the funds are for. So maybe someone needs someone's getting a blender, or you know, needs to fix their refrigerator or something. You know, there's a variety of things you can use it for. I would say, you know, it's we're in a time right now where people do want to contribute and people do want to support your business. And I hear you. You had already reached out. You had asked. You know, but I would encourage you to speak with the trustee that you know, is nearest to you, and see if there aren't other resources that we can tap into to support your business. You know, and if it's for something specific, which it needs to be outlined what you want to use it for, and you know, people know they're getting their money back, and not only are they getting their money back, but it's doubled. So if they give you $25, that's going to be $50 that they're giving, right? So I would encourage you to think about it. Log on to the Kiva platform. You can see some other campaigns to get ideas. But you know, your strong support system with your trustees to help you in that private fundraising stage. So I wouldn't let that discourage you from making a call to one of us to see if we can identify additional funders.
Okay, I think I remember what question I had. How soon will the people that will fund you get their money back in return?
So your payments are deferred for 6 months right now.
The people who would loan you the money, do they have to wait 6 months to get their money back?
They do. So so they start receiving their portion of contribution as you start repaying. So starting in 6 months is when that would be completed back.
Okay.
And then going up to 36 months, if
Yeah,
that's
depending
how
on your
long
long
you do
term.
Okay.
So it's really neat in that it can be a gift that keeps on giving. You know, many people I've seen that have contributed $25 leave their $25 in there, because once it's repaid, then they can go and support another business. And so it's a way to get involved in your community and support the businesses that are local, that you enjoy. So I would definitely, you know, encourage you not to you know, underestimate people's kind of giving and supportive spirit right now.
Hi, Danielle, this is Abraham again. I have another question here and related to the people that loan you that money getting the money back. You mentioned that they get $50 back. If they put in 25, they get $50 back. Is there any sort of like, how can I put it? Instead of it just being a word of mouth to say, hey, if you pay me 25, I'm going to give you 50 back. Is there any sort of like, I guess, paperwork or something that looks a little bit more professional to that person that is donating that money to almost say, hey, you know what, you're investing in me. Once this is all over, then I could give you this money back, or you can invest in the future of other businesses. Is there anything along those lines that Kiva or whoever the trustee would be able to provide to kind of maybe give peace of mind to the person that's letting you use that money, to know that, hey, you know what, if it does come around, you know, something that looks a little more professional, I guess?
So sorry about that. To clarify, so they're contributing $25 to your campaign, and that money is doubled in that, you know, as they contribute 25, you get an additional 25 matched so that you can reach your goal faster. So while their money is doubled for the purpose of your campaign, they're not receiving an additional, like, not receiving that $25 that was
Got it. Okay. Got it. So let's say I get $500 from the 20 people. So then Kiva gives me another $500. That's $1,000. Do I have to pay Kiva back the full 1,000, or do I just pay Kiva back the 500 that they matched?
So you do pay back the full amount. Kiva is the platform that we use. Match is actually done by LISC, the organization
Okay.
that we partner with. So they're fronting that money to help you reach your campaign goals faster. And so that money would be distributed back to them as someone who invested in your business, right?
Understood.
And that's one thing I would be cautious of when you're speaking to people for your campaign, is calling it an investment. It's an investment in you and your business and the growth of that business. And so we want to be careful not to say donations, just because, you know, we want to be more empowering to people. This is an investment that they're making.
Right.
Paid back.
No.
It's doubled in the sense that, you know, it's going twice as far for your business.
Right. Now, when you say investment, if someone were to tell me I'm investing in something, then I would expect something back. So if I tell someone you're going to invest in my business and they're not going to get anything back, maybe I shouldn't use the word investment?
So you're, they're going to get their money back, but I guess when we say investment, it's investing in you and the success of your business, right?
Got it. Okay. Okay. In me as a person. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Understood. Okay. I just want to make sure, because there's a lot of people that use that term, you know, literally, and say, well, if I'm investing, I expect something back. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a really good point. So I would specify it as an investment in you, and illustrating that it grows, it doubles, and, you know, and it can even triple in the sense that it can bring success to your business. So it's really looking for that network of people who are invested in you and seeing that happen for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Those are some great questions. Thank you all.
Okay, I kind of wanted to piggyback off of what Abraham said. I think the phone was breaking up when he asked, how do those people do they get paid back, and how do they get paid back, and how soon?
So they do get paid back. As you repay your loan, they get paid back, you know, in increments, right? So it depends on how many total investors or contributors that you have. You know, will determine, and like how long your repayment period is, will determine how quickly they get their money back. But what it does is it sits in their Kiva profile. So if you've ever used any kind of cash apps or anything like that, you know, the money kind of sits there until you transfer it back to your account. That's the way it works. So they can make the decision to, you know, contribute to another campaign, or they can take the money out. It's their choice.
Okay.
I can give a quick real world example of how it works. I did a Kiva loan to a business in Kenya. They were opening a store, and that's exactly what I did. I gave $25, and then over the course of a year, every couple months, I would see a few dollars added back to my Kiva account. And then at the culmination of it, once they paid the full loan off, I had the $25 back in my account. But I chose not to withdraw it. I just kept loaning it out to other businesses. That's basically how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can be the gift that keeps on giving. And hey, what if, you know, when you pay off this loan, you want to use the tool, the Kiva platform again, because you're trying to expand your business, you know, and purchase new equipment or adapt your website or something like that. You can have a campaign again, and that same money is sitting there, you know, after some time. Maybe people are missing the $25. It's sitting in there. It's been repaid. They could reuse it to invest in you again if you wanted to do that.
And you're not responsible for how it gets dispersed. You just make the lump sum payment, and then Kiva handles dispersing it out to all of the different contributors.
Yeah, great point.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no follow-up required from you other than, you know, just making your monthly payment through PayPal, and then everyone gets paid back accordingly.
Okay.
All right, amazing questions, everybody. Thank you. Just want to make sure, do we have any others?
It's Abraham again. I got one more question here.
Sure.
Now, you mentioned the investors that invest in this. Where are these investors? Are these investors locally? Are they part of the community? Are they big companies, or where are these investors coming from?
So there are a wide variety. There are a wide variety of ways that people can contribute to the campaign, and so there's, locally, I know LISC often, in addition to their match, will support businesses, right? It'll be local community members, because we will share it as trustees. We will share out your campaign with our networks and our following in the community. So you'll get support that way, in addition to sharing it out. That's an important piece, having social media to be able to share that out, texting your friends and family. So a lot of it will be local, but once you do that initial fundraising stage, it goes out globally. So you heard Ali here, he contributed to a campaign in Kenya, right? And so I've tried to do that as well with different regions of the world as well as locally. So there, I have to get the data in terms of how many lenders are on there, but it's a huge network, a huge pool, and draw to your business through your campaign, which is really neat.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for your wonderful questions and the engaging discussion. We, again, are your trustees here throughout Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe. So again, I focus primarily on the areas in and around 7th Avenue to 27th Avenue and Camelback. So if you're in that vicinity, you see my information here. If you're in the area, my cell phone's listed there and my email, and happy to discuss Kiva with you or other loan opportunities or any of the financial topics that we discussed today. And then, Lada, if you want to.
Yeah, and so my information is down on the far right corner. That's my cell phone number and my email address. I cover Mesa and Tempe. And so if you want to give me a call if you're in those areas, I would love to help in any way I can. And if it's for other guidance as well, we're here for your small business.
Thank you.
Yep, I'm in the bottom left. And as I mentioned, I'm primarily centered in East Lake Park area, which is just east of downtown Jefferson and Washington, and then extending into South Phoenix. But as everyone said, happy to be a resource however I can, wherever you may be located.
Great, and I'm Michael Kelly, and our area is from Thomas Road to Van Buren, 7th Street to 24th Street. But don't hesitate to reach out, and you can always contact me on IG at MMMPHX. So that's the Miracle Mile McDowell Phoenix. It's interesting how many people are using Instagram to connect. So I always like to share that.
That's a great point. We need to get our social media stuff on here. But if you are interested in moving forward with the Kiva campaign, there's a couple of things to note. So you can reach out to one of us directly. If we're in your area, that is an advantage in the sense that we can connect you to local business coalitions there that can help you get connected to additional resources and networks. We can send you the Kiva trustee link, and it's very important that you go through us versus just going through the website and doing it on your own, because you wouldn't get that match, which is huge. We want to make sure that you're receiving the guidance in that process, but that you're also, getting that dollar for dollar match that's provided by LISC. So there's a specific link that we need to send you to apply on to guarantee that you get that. And from there, we look forward to connecting with you to start an amazing campaign and help you with your business in any way that we can.
And to also mention,
Awesome. Thank you.
we are doing our final workshop Friday the 15th at 10 in the morning, and we're going to be talking about the most fun part of Kiva. I'm kidding. Everything is fun about Kiva. But we're going to be talking about crafting your story and how you develop that when you're not really sure like where to go and how to tell your story. And so Ali and Michael will be taking that on, and I'm really excited to hear about it.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one, a great session to end with. And I would encourage you, you know, even if you're still on the fence, this is a great series to attend because it's going to cover an important aspect of sharing your story, which can be used not only for Kiva, but on social media and other marketing to get people engaged and supporting your business. So definitely something you'll want to stay tuned for if you're available next Friday at 10 a.m.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining. And if there's nothing else, we wish you a wonderful week. And please feel free to reach out to us if any questions come up.
All right.
I wanted to mention, Laura, did you put the link in there for the profit and loss? Is that in
I
the
did, yes. I did in the chat box.
Sorry, it didn't show up for me.
Okay.
Wonderful. So you all have that to work on, and if we can assist with any of the processes that we talked about today, please let us know. We are here for you. And
if you want us to email it to you, if you want to put your email address on the chat box, I would be more than happy to do that right now. That way you guys can start at least see the profit and loss statement and see what it looks like. It's a lot of fun, not gonna lie.
It is an important step, you know, and it's interesting to take a look when you have the information in front of you. It gets your wheels turning about things you may have overlooked. So it's a really good process to go through. And I think just the last piece, we had a quick survey here. You know, just want to ask you how we're doing. You know, is this beneficial to you? And you know, take that information into consideration as we're moving forward and planning out theories such as.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can take a minute, it should have popped up on your screen.
Thank you.
And then yeah, please reach out to us with any questions.